I chant the praise of the Buddha in Pali language. Pali is the language that the Buddha spoke. We say in Pali, Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. This month, the Buddha's birthday. So we all feel so happy today. Just like on your birthday, your mom and dad feel so happy. They say, oh, happy birthday, happy birthday. So we can rejoice and be appreciating and grateful because there was this man who we call Buddha. When he spoke about himself, he called himself Tathagata. So he was the one who came into the world, who realized the way to escape from all suffering in this world and to have freedom. There's one sutta where some of the bhikkhus were just talking among themselves about miracles, things that were wonderful and marvelous about the Buddha. And I'm not going to repeat that entire sutta, but I was thinking this morning about some things that the Buddha did that were wonderful and marvelous. They say that when the Buddha was conceived, his mother had a dream about a white elephant. And in that dream was when the seed of Gautami, who was going to be the Buddha, the Bodhisattva, came into her body. So that would be a wonderful thing, a marvelous thing. And then they say that during the entire time when she was pregnant, when she was carrying her baby in her womb, during that entire time she never had a bad thought. Her mind was always pure, happy, and peaceful during that entire time. Now, some of you are mothers, and you may know that the time when you're carrying a child sometimes can be painful, and sometimes you feel sick. Sometimes you feel strange in the body because it's not something that happens very often, only a few times in a life. But in this case, it was peaceful, sublime, and serene. And then the Buddha was born in a way that was not painful. And when he was born, he immediately was able to walk. Even as a newborn infant, he was able to walk. And as you see here in this statue, he walked 8 steps, and the lotus flowers bloomed after each step that he made. These things were supposed to be miracles, wonderful and marvelous about the Buddha. Well, the bhikkhus were going on and on about different things of that nature, more kind of like a fairy tale, kind of fabulous things. But the Buddha corrected them, and he said, really, there's something else that's even more wonderful and more marvelous than all of those things. And the thing that the Buddha thought was wonderful and marvelous was that he has developed such great mindfulness that he's able to discern moment by moment the arising, the existence, and the passing away of phenomena. So something arising with the body, something arising with feeling, something arising with a perception or a thought, he can actually see it. Oh, there it is. It exists. Then it's gone. And that's the most important miracle of all, is something that every one of us is also able to do when we take up this path of practice, if we follow the Eightfold Noble Path, if we have a right view and give up superstitious thinking, if we practice morality if we develop kindness, compassion, loving kindness, then purify our behavior, and then purify our mind, and develop the practices to make the mind to be clean, to let go of unpleasant, afflictive, painful ways of thinking, and to incline the mind towards supporting ways of thinking that are peaceful, that are kind, that are tranquil, that are inclining towards the truth, to see things just like they actually are, without any bias, without prejudice. So then, one is able to enter into meditation. Having done all of this preparation work, the mind is able to go to a deeper meditation, and from within the quiet, the tranquility of meditation, then we have a chance to experience exactly what the Buddha experienced, what he mentioned on that day, that we too are able to see the arising, the existing, and the passing away of phenomena. And when we see that really how it is, then we will be so free. None of the problems that we had before are going to bother us anymore, because we have the profound, deep, and direct insight, understanding what is this world that we live in. To me, I think that Buddha's birthday is very nice. I'm glad that he was born, but I don't think it's that not the greatest thing just to be born. All of us got born. So to be born, to take a human birth, well, it is wonderful. We'd rather have a human birth than to be born as an animal or a ghost or some other kind of existence. But the Buddha took a human birth. The Bodhisattva, after all of his many lifetimes, thousands and thousands of lifetimes perfecting his virtue and his qualities, finally it was the time to have his final existence and to be the Buddha. So he took that human form. And then he realized his full awakening on this very same day. So we're celebrating the Buddha's birth and the Buddha's enlightenment, sitting under the Bodhi tree, making a strong determination, having nourished his body, having reflected and thought deeply. He sat and he decided that he was going to stay there until he could solve this puzzle, about the puzzle of existence. Now also, there are a certain number of people in the world who also got enlightened. In our tradition, they're called Pacceka Buddha, which means a silent Buddha. They attained enlightenment, but then they couldn't explain what happened. They were changed, but they were not able to help other people because they didn't know how to teach the things that they had experienced. So they obtained their enlightenment, and then eventually they passed away to Nibbana, but they did not have a transforming effect of turning the wheel of Dharma and starting a whole era of human existence where many people have a chance to see the way to get out of their difficulties, to get out of suffering, and to find peace and freedom from all such difficulties through this awakening and through this insight. What our Blessed One had, what Gautami Buddha had, is he had the ability to be what's called a Samma Sambuddha. That means one who is perfectly enlightened by himself, and one who has the ability to express in words and in example what he was doing in a way for other people to understand it. And to me, this is really the greatest thing of all about the Buddha. And I'm so glad that the Buddha lived a long life and was able to teach many, many, many hundreds of sermons. He walked across India for how many hundreds and hundreds of miles, thousands of miles even. He walked from town to town, teaching people and explaining to people. And he was able to adjust his way of explanation for the personality of the person he was talking to. So if he was talking to someone who was like just a simple farmer or something like that, he would talk to them in a very basic and simple way. And he would usually tell them to clean up their morality as the first thing. And then sometimes he would be seeing somebody who had been already an ascetic, wandering meditator, somebody like a philosopher, maybe somebody who goes into the town square where they have debates about religion and philosophy, who's been arguing about religion for many years, somebody who's real smart. And so that smart guy needs to have a different kind of teaching. And perhaps in a case like that, the Buddha would engage in a debate and defeat him in a debate first to make that man be less proud, to make him become humble, so that then he would have his heart opened and be willing to listen and hear the teachings. And just the same way, there's even something that is spoken of in the Mahayana about the Buddha speaking to many, many people, and they're coming from all different countries, and they all speak a lot of different languages. But when the Buddha talks, every person is able to understand as if he was speaking to them in their own language. And to me, I think that that is expressing an idea that indeed the Buddha was smart, and he did know how to speak several different languages. And he did know how to go from place to place where people had different customs, different understandings, different knowledge, and different languages. And he was always able to speak to them in the right way. He would know what is it that this one needs to know for them to wake up. And then he would give exactly that teaching, the thing that they needed. So I'm going to now I'm going to mention one of the things that the Buddha taught, which is something that has been the particular teaching that I myself personally am using right now in order to advance myself on the path. So this is something that you probably studied in school. You probably studied with Venerable Huntry. It's called 3 Marks of Existence, or Tilakkhana in Pali. That means, let's take, for example, your body, okay? In the very second sermon that the Buddha gave, he had his 5 monks that had been his friends before, and he wanted to make them obtain enlightenment. So he gave them a lesson. He was using the method of asking them questions. He said, bhikkhus, talking to these monks, what do you think? Do you think your body is permanent or impermanent? Okay, who knows the answer? Impermanent, right? And why do you think it's impermanent? Yeah. And even as a child or a young man, you know, your body is changing, changing. And in 1 year, even 1 year from now, your body's going to look very different than it did before.